With the release of this new Weeknd album, I thought I'd bring up something that's been pondering in my head for over 10 years. I've identified this underlying connection between him and the legendary neo-soul artist Maxwell. I first saw The Weeknd perform back in 2012, knew he would blow up, and he's having a pretty good career right now. Meanwhile, Maxwell began his career in the 90s and he's been a staple of the culture ever since. I'm a fan of both artists and I clearly understand that they have two completely different sounds. I'm also not claiming that someone blatantly stole someone else's concepts. This is ultimately a video just trying to explain how my brain works. But before we dive into the psyche of Poster Shot, please remember to give me a like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Thanks. Okay, so after an 8-year hiatus, Maxwell returned to the game in 2009 with his fourth album, Black Summer's Night. The album was a commercial and critical success, earning him 2 Grammy Awards. During the time of the release, Maxwell goes on a media circuit run explaining his hiatus and plans he has for the future. Some of those plans he had for the future included 2 follow-up albums to finish off the Black Summer's Night trilogy. One was to be called Summers, and the final album was to be called Night. Here's what he had to say about it.
So, this is a trilogy of albums I read that you have coming out. They're all done, but you have one coming each year, every summer, right?
You know, Black is like the first installment. It's like a darker record. And then the second one is Summers. It's kind of more of a gospel, futuristic gospel thing. And the third is called Night. So those are the 3 records from the Black Summer's Night trilogy. So I'm anxious. I can't wait to see what people think about it.
2 years after Maxwell's press run, The Weeknd blesses us with his debut in 2011. His debut consisted of a series of mixtapes that not only captured everyone's attention, but it also reminded me of a similar concept. In March 2011, The Weeknd drops House of Balloons. That same year in August, he drops his album Thursday. 4 months later in December, he drops Echoes of Silence. Black Summer's Night. Again, I'm not saying he stole his style. All I'm pointing out is that the layout for the trilogy is pretty similar. Now, Maxwell didn't come out with the second installment until 2016 with Summers. However, he did give a blueprint of what this trilogy could look like. The first installment to Maxwell's trilogy consisted of 9 tracks, which is exactly what The Weeknd did on all 3 installments of his trilogy. Maxwell used a black and white album cover to highlight the word black, which is the official album title for this record if you take into account the next 2 albums that he's planning to do. Coincidentally enough, the first installment for The Weeknd's trilogy, House of Balloons, has a black and white album cover. Now, Maxwell takes a while to drop records, but at this point The Weeknd is about to blow, so he's moving. So sticking to the concept of 9 tracks, The Weeknd drops his next 2 installments. In August 2011, he dropped Thursday. Now let's take a look at the album cover real fast, and let's compare that to House of Balloons. Matter of fact, let's look at the imagery in House of Balloons. Everything is darker. If we think about where Maxwell was going with black, everything in the concept of House of Balloons represents that darkness. And again, I'm only talking about the titles here. I'm not saying anyone stole anyone's style, but as far as the concept goes, where the titles in Maxwell's trilogy goes, it seems to translate into the trilogy that was created by The Weeknd. Going back to the Thursday album cover, it's more vibrant, bright. It looks like what I think summer would feel like. I mean, granted, the album cover is a girl who just got tossed around, but the colors. The third installment to The Weeknd's trilogy does the same thing if you take into account Maxwell's planned 3rd album in his trilogy, Night, an album we still haven't received 13 years after Maxwell explained the concept. Meanwhile, the album cover on Echoes of Silence gives us a real nighttime type of a vibe, and I think the album title itself does the same. But what do you think? Am I bugging? Is this all in my head? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Peace.